And I believe very strongly that with faith and with love, anything is possible. That night on the bridge, I had no idea the future that lay in front of me. I had not yet met Ken. I had no idea that I would have 3 amazing, active, challenging children. I did teach at NYU, and then as Dan mentioned, later Stanford, and now I teach for USC in their online master's programs. I gained and lost jobs. I launched my own practice. I did a TED Talk about my journey back from this suicide attempt and the need to provide better resources for people like me who are trying to put their life back together again. On maybe my 16th anniversary of my suicide attempt, my older sister, the poet, sent me a text, and she said, JD, I'm glad that June 11th was the end of a chapter, not the end of the book. And I feel that way too. And in fact, I tried my own hand at poetry and wrote this. That warm June night, I nearly died, but God had more for me in mind. As I looked at the water dark far below, I felt inside there was only down to go. I was so wrong. People, strangers to me, were more committed to my life than I was. Ferry riders, boat captains, the Coast Guard, the EMTs, unknown to each other, they conspired to save me from myself. That warm June night, I nearly died, but God had more for me in mind. Bellevue enveloped me, working with speed and expertise. My family was phoned, ending hours of fear and confusion. Within a day, Dad and Kathy were at my side, of which I was truly terrified. ICU gave way to acute care, to regular care, to the psych ward. Dad never missed a day to visit through that 23-day stay. That warm June night, I nearly died, but God had more for me in mind. Slowly, my will to live did return, first a flicker, then a flame did burn. My body recovered quickly, my mind and soul took more time. Years later, I now bless the day I failed in my attempt. My sister, the poet, captured it well. June 11 was just the end of a chapter, not the end of the book. That warm June night, I nearly died, but God had more for me in mind. My journey is not your journey, but for each of us, God has more for us in mind. Spirit, creative spirit, inner self, whatever you call a power outside of yourself. I use the word God because that's what's familiar to me. For all of us, the universe has more in mind than we can imagine. And so I ask you today to think about what is it you need to do in a subtractive way? Do you need to clear the brush? Do you need to sweep things away from the house? Do you need to get dry grass so that it's not combustible? And then what do you need to do that's additive? Do you need to put water on? Do you need to moisturize your life? Do you need to add meditation or add something that allows you to be sure that your precipitating factors and your predisposition don't lead anywhere near where mine took me? I believe all of us have a possibility of living a life far beyond what our limited imagination can come up with right now. And I invite you to reflect on that and think of that for yourself as we step out of this and into some time of meditation.